Namaste. Welcome to this, our last chair yoga class of the summer term. It's always with bittersweet feelings that we come to our last class of the term, but I hope that you've enjoyed our classes together so far. Today we're going to need a little bit of equipment, perhaps a belt. That will be optional. There'll be a way to do this without a belt as well, and a block of some kind. So a little bit taller than the one that we usually put our feet on. A stack of books would work very well. If you've got anything solid, a small step that you perhaps use to reach things, that will be also quite useful for us today. But we're going to begin our classes here in our seated positions, sitting towards the front of the seat, finding the feet into the floor, lifting through the rest of the body so we sit tall, and resting the arms wherever feels comfortable for you. Somebody is just about to join us. Please excuse me while I let them in. There we are. So here in your comfortable seated spot, just resting your arms wherever is comfortable, closing your eyes or gazing gently downward, and take a little note of how you feel in this moment. Take a little note of any areas of tension or discomfort or soreness, stiffness. Being sure to work gently with those areas through our class today. And also noting any areas that feel comfortable, spacious, and at ease. And perhaps focusing on the ease in the body, feel that that sensation ripple out into other areas, softening tension, beginning that process of relaxing the muscles, releasing what you've been holding on to. Bring your awareness to your breathing and find that slow, steady breath in and out of the body. Perhaps as you're breathing, you can soften the forehead, the area around the eyes, the tongue, the jaw, even the shoulders, the chest. When you're ready, you can just gently open your eyes. We'll take our hands down to our sides and begin with a little roll of the shoulders. Just to begin wakening everything up. We did a lot of shoulders last week. We're not going to do quite so much with the shoulders this week in the same way, but we will do some things, of course. And then we're going to take the feet a little bit wider and make sure that you've got quite a lot of your buttocks settled onto the seat, hands onto the knees, and just give yourself a little gentle stir. So we want the effort here in the belly to be enough to support our movements without getting any twingy feelings in the hips or the low back. Press your feet into the floor to support as well, and allow your head to move as your spine moves. So as you come forward, maybe chin forward a little. As you go back, maybe chin lifted a little. If that feels good. If not, keep your eyes on one spot, particularly if you're a little bit dizzy. When you're ready, you can go the opposite way. Still supporting through the center. It's just, the heavens have just opened here. When you're ready, coming back to center and just gently rolling through your shoulders a few times in each direction. we're going to do some side bending as well. This you can either do with your feet closer together if it suits you, or further apart. I'm going to stick with mine on the floor, I think, and pressing the feet down to sit really tall, just a little gentle slide from side to side, finding that lift in the belly as well. And it doesn't need to be particularly side bendy, but we're just finding our way. When you're ready, you can come back to center and just roll the shoulders one more time. And then we're going to sit ourselves all the way back in our seats so that the feet are free. I might turn sideways a little bit so you can see a bit better. So here, the feet are free, and we're going to spread the toes out nice and wide and then scrunch them up. So just a little spreading and scrunching. And at the same time, sitting tall, rolling the shoulder blades back down, opening the chest, keeping that lift through the body. You can have your legs lower down if you need to, if it's toughy to hold them up here like this, no problem. If you can, pointing the toes, flexing the feet, pointing the toes and flexing the feet. And take your time going between the two so you can feel the sensations in the body, that length across the top of the ankle, that length across perhaps the calves or the backs of the knees or into the low legs. And when you're ready, you can roll the ankles in circles. I'm doing alternate circles, but you can do them the same way if you'd like to, and the opposite way as well. And in this way, we're just getting our feet ready for supporting the body. And then you can just gently, I'm going to kick that out of the way, just gently swing the legs. Maybe easing off, if you've been holding the legs out, easing off the effort in the quadriceps, these muscles at the front of the legs. And then maybe just a little side to side swing. And then if it feels good, you can also make circles with the feet, moving the knees, and you'll feel the thigh bones rolling in the hip sockets a little. We'll go the opposite way as well. Very good. When you're ready, coming back to the center and just bringing yourself forward on your seat. We're going to come to standing for the next part of our practice. You can do lots of this sitting down as well, so make the sensible choices for you. So we're going to place the feet into the floor really strongly, knees over feet, firm in the belly, and do our little sit, hover, sit, hover. So make sure you've got enough of the chair behind you that you can easily come back to it. Reach the hands forward, firm in the belly, just to hover the bottom of the seat, and then plonk it back down again, but nice and gently, not so much plonking as gently kissing the seat again. Reaching forward to hover and gently releasing back down. Reaching forward to hover, use the momentum created by the movement of the arms to give you a little oomph, and firm in the belly, pressing into the feet to hover and release. Let's do one more hovering and release. And then we'll come all the way up to standing. So hovering first, pressing into the hips to stand tall, reach the arms wide, hips gently coming forwards. We'll come all the way back down to sitting, reaching the hands forward, lengthening the tailbone away to gently place the seat back down. Reaching forward, nice and firm in the belly, firm in the legs, stand tall, arms reaching wide, hips slightly forward, perhaps looking up, and then coming the opposite way to sit back down again, lengthening tailbone away from fingertips to lightly sit in your seat. This time we're going to stand up and stay standing up. And let the arms float down to the sides. And as you do, give your shoulders another little wriggle backwards and forwards, maybe the hips a little wriggle as well. We're going to take the chairs to one side. We'll leave our equipment in place because we're probably going to use it fairly soon. So with the feet nice and wide and a little soft in the knees, firm across the belly, and let your weight be not just in your heels, but certainly dropped into your heels mostly. Little toes Big toes pressing into the floor as well, and we will gently turn from side to side. And the smallest of twists here to begin with, allowing the body to get used to this movement, to get used to what you're asking it to do before expecting the furthest extreme of your range of movement. If you can, have the sensation of pressing into one foot and then the other as you twist, and then firming the buttock of that foot that's pressing down. And for some people, that will be the foot you're moving away from or the foot you're moving towards. We are all different, so do what feels natural here. Let the arms be loose and heavy, wrapping the body, tapping the body wherever they fall, so you get that sort of flinging sensation in between, but they've got somewhere to land as well. Head following the movement, unless you get dizzy, in which case fix your eyes to one spot and just gently turn with the rest of the body. If it feels good here, you can free the toes, or the heels rather, to pivot gently on your toes. Try not to sway too much with the upper body. Try and keep that gentle lift through the belly, engagement in the buttocks. You might even feel a gentle opening across the hip of the leg that stays behind as you twist. And if you'd like to, you can add that soft bend in the knees, gentle dip and twist, bounce and twist. You might need to slow the movement down to make all of these three things happen together. That's okay too. Find the rhythm that suits you. If you'd like to, you can touch the opposite shoulder in front, opposite side of the rib cage behind you, giving the arms a good destination, or a specific destination, should I say. Whenever you're ready, you can let your bounce go, simply pivot on your toes, and then bring your feet to steadiness and sway back to center, just losing the momentum a little at a time. When you come back to center, rolling the shoulders back and down, turning the palms forward, lengthening the legs, lengthening the crown of the head up. Take a moment in your mountain pose, Tadasana. Closing the eyes if you feel comfortable, gazing down if you prefer. Notice all of the things in the body working to gently working to keep you upright. And when you're ready, gently releasing. So today we're going to focus on the space between the hips and the ribs. We want to create space there. So normally our posture is a little bit slumpy and rounded, and we get this closing of the space, particularly in the front of the body, but also in the sides, between the hips and the ribs. And poor posture has all sorts of knock-on effects. Not only does it make us feel sluggish, it creates blockages to the movement of energy in the body, and it creates less space for the digestive organs to do their very important work. And the lungs to do their work as well. So we want to stand tall, but not rigid. We want to find a way to feel space and length without having to force the muscles into the opposite direction. So we're going to begin with first a little bit of movement through the spine. We've done our twists. We're going to do some backwards and forwards movement now. So we work with spinal bending and opening. Arms out to the side. We're going to bring the palms of the hands together in front of us, lengthen the fingers away, chin to chest, and then standing tall, draw the elbows back, turn the palms open, open your chest as you look up. Reaching the hands together. It could be back of the hands, palms of the hands is also fine, scooping the belly in, and then standing tall, elbows back, reaching the palms open, the chin up, rounding through the spine. A little soft in the knees here, and then as you stand tall, lengthening the legs, lengthening the chest, rounding, and then opening. Let's do one more, rounding through the spine, drawing the elbows back, opening the chest, and then just floating the hands down to the sides, Little soft wiggles through the shoulders, maybe through the hips as well, maybe through the sides of the body. I studied with a very ancient Swami Gayatri. She was about 97, I think, when I studied with her. And she said, you are as young as your spine. And that is absolutely correct. If you have mobility through your torso, then it has a knock-on effect to the rest of the body. If you have strength there as well, it has a knock-on effect to the rest of the body. So that's really what we're trying to achieve. Let's do a little extra touch of side bending as well. We're going to start in the center with the feet quite wide, more than hip width anyway, and just gently find our way into a side bend. Firm across the belly, pressing the feet into the floor, maybe just a touch of softness across the knees. And as you've prepared the body for this movement, you may begin to explore a little deeper into the movement. What we want to avoid is that top shoulder coming forward. That's not a side bend anymore. So we want to do a side bend where we feel like if we were between two panes of glass, we're not touching either front or back of the body. That makes sense. If you wish to, you can allow your arms to come into this movement as well. And that just opens up that space along the rib cage between the ribs and the hips as well. And if it feels good here, you can soften the knee of the side you're moving away from. So as you bend to the right, you soften the right knee, if that makes sense. The side you're moving towards, perhaps. If you're bending to the left, you soften the left knee. Very good. Let's do 2 more to each side, nice and firm in the belly as well. Very good. And then coming back to the center, reaching the arms wide and floating the arms down to the side, just giving a little roll of the shoulders, maybe a gentle looking up and down, or maybe a little figure of 8 with your nose, if that suits you. So now we've moved in all of these different directions. We're just going to do a touch of hip tipping, and then we'll work specifically on the hips themselves. So with your knees nice and soft, just a gentle curve under and curve back. So tucking the pelvis under as if you were pouring water out of the back of the bowl of the pelvis, and tucking the pelvis forward as if you were pouring water out of the front. So called anterior and posterior pelvic tilting, but you don't really need to know that. Think of the bowl of water, much easier. And as you do this, the rest of the body is staying quite still. So we're not moving the whole of the body backwards and forwards. It's just this little tipping of the pelvis. Nice and firm in the belly, the buttocks are working, the legs are working here as well. You can come back to the center, do a little side to side. We're going to come back to this particular movement very soon. So when we've done a little bit side to side, you can begin to circle your hips. As you circle your hips, try to keep the upper body nice and still. The knees soft will allow you lots of movement through the hips, so that you feel you're as free to move as you would like, going the opposite way as well. And just making sure that it's not too clunky, there's no clunky feelings. If that's the case, then slowing your movement down or making it smaller, we usually eliminate that. When you're ready, coming back to the center, relaxing the arms, giving the legs a little bit of a shake out. Very good. So we're working today with a specific exercise that's called hip hikes. So hip hikes can be done in lots of different ways. We're going to work from an entry level all the way up to the most challenging variation that we're doing today. So choose where you would like to bug out. So if you get to stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3 and you think that's where I need to be, I don't need to do it any further than this, then stick with that stage while we progress through the rest of the exercise. So we're going to begin with focusing on this space between the ribs and the hips. We want to create as much openness there as possible. So if you rest your little fingers on your hip bones right at the top, and your thumbs on the bottom of your rib cage. If you press gently, you'll find a firm bit. And then creating a bit of a lift and length. So what we want to avoid is just stretching the chest open to lift the ribs. We want to create length down the sides of the body. We need to use the belly muscles. We need to draw the shoulder blades back and down. We need to avoid flaring too much with the ribs themselves. And just finding that space is as long as possible. And then we can rest our hands on our hips up themselves. And we're just gently going to begin just leaning to one side and then the other, trying to keep this sense of a long space, but leaning the hips one way and then the other. So from the front, it looks very subtle, just one way and then the other. It's a very much more concentrated, purposeful version of a side bend. Very good. And then from here, we're going to just gently lift one heel and then the other. So we're trying to keep the legs quite long, but we've got a little bit more lift, a little bit more room to move with the hips. And the space along the side that is not lifted is much longer than it would be if we were just standing straight. So just going side to side, noticing if that's the case for you. Very good. And then in the center, taking a rest, relaxing the body. Because when we're not used to holding the body in better posture, it feels quite toughy. So giving yourself a little roll through the shoulders, maybe a nice sort of roll through the knees as well. And we can go the opposite way as well. And if at any stage you feel that holding onto a chair, we're going to do it holding onto a chair in a moment anyway, so I'm preparing mine so it's ready. But if at any stage you feel like holding onto a chair would help you to balance to do this, then absolutely go for it. So now we're going to do just one side. We're going to soften the knee of the side that we're working with, firm the standing leg, so pressing that foot into the floor, standing nice and tall. And then we're lifting and lowering the outside hip, the one with the knee bent. And it might be that you get quite the wiggle through your tailbone here. So that's about 4 or 5. We'll do 2 more. There we are. And then stand onto both feet and just observe the effort that's made on the side of the body that you worked and the side of the body that's supported. It's often more effort on the supporting side. Then standing again in the center, we're going to press down into the opposite foot, bend the other knee, and then pressing down into that opposite foot to stand tall. Find that lift down the side of the body first, and then a little bit up and down. Very good. I think that's 4. We'll do 3 more. Keeping an effort in the belly. And I can't remember how many I've done now, so I'm doing 1 more. And then standing onto both feet, just observing the effect of coming back to both feet, how it feels across the center of the body. Does it feel balanced on both sides? It doesn't have to, but observing where it doesn't. Giving yourself a little wiggle. You might want to wiggle out your arms, your legs. You can wiggle out your arms if you like, as you do a little shimmer, a little wiggle of the bottom at the same time. So we're stepping things up a little notch here. And I'm going to bring this block to the floor so that it's underneath the foot that I have the knee bent from. So I want to stand on my standing leg and take my opposite foot up to some sort of support. Might need to be slightly in front of the body so that I've got a nice angle in my knee coming away from the body and down. And then here, I want to avoid sinking into the hip of that standing leg. So we want to press down into that hip and lift nice and tall. And then if you can here, lifting that top foot off the support and back down again. So lifting up and lower. Nice and firm in the center to lift and lower. This is 4, lift and lower. And then we'll do 3 more. Lower, lift and lower. You can do it without hands if you'd like to. Lift and lower. And then we're going to stand onto both feet. Notice how it feels left to right. It's going to begin to feel like a lot of work. And if that's the case and you can't shimmer it out with a little bit of a wiggle, then we can come to the back of the chair and do a downward facing dog. So taking the hands onto the seat, taking the hips back, softening the knees, and giving yourself a little wiggle from side to side, or simply a tilt backwards and forwards, whatever feels good here. Maybe it's a little circling of the hips. And when you're ready, you can press into your hands and walk forward, and just making sure that you feel okay. We're going to move the block to the opposite side so we can do the same thing. So we've got our opposite foot up on the block, standing leg, we're pressing down into that foot to stand really tall, lifting in the belly muscles, and feeling strong before we start. And then we're lifting the bent knee foot up and down, just lifting a little up and release, up and release. Do it without hands on the seat if you want to work on balance as well. But if you're very wobbly, it's better to hold on. We're doing 2 more. Up and down. I'm going to hold on to up and down. And then just gently stand onto both feet. Rolling the shoulders, maybe giving your hips a little wiggle, maybe shaking out the legs. If you need to, you can take another downward facing dog, or you might like to prefer a forward bend. So one where you're actually rounding forward in the spine. So for this, I'm going to come to the chair seat, and I'm going to start with breathing in to open my chest. And then as I breathe out, nice and soft in the knees, reaching for the chair seat, so a little bit lower down, and then giving my spine a little wiggle from side to side. And when you're ready, you can bend your knees deeper, tuck your tailbone under, round up through the spine, reaching the hands tall, and then floating the arms down to the side. So hopefully that's realigned anything that might have been out of alignment. We're going to put our blocks to one side. We might come to use them one more time. So our next variation of the hip hike is to hold on to the chair. And our final variation is to do the same practice, but without hands on the chair. So for this, our standing legs, the inside leg, the knees are together, but we've lifted the opposite foot off the floor. So in this case, it's my left foot that's lifted, whichever foot is furthest away from the chair for you. As we stand tall and hold on, we want to feel that standing leg is really pressing down into the mat. We've got nice effort across the belly and the buttocks. And we're going to lower the left knee down and then lift the left knee up. So we're gently lowering and lifting. And this is our most challenging variation, although without the balance element. So do take care. Don't do too many here. We'll maybe do 1 more to make it 5. And then standing onto both feet and just observing how it feels to come back onto both feet. You might feel that your standing leg has done a lot of effort. Give yourself any wiggles that need wiggling. And I'm going to stay standing with my body in this direction. Actually, I could use the wall. There we are. I'll use the wall for the other side. So shifting yourself to the other side or moving to a different support. Then your standing leg is the opposite leg now, pressing down. I've got my right knee bent, knees are together, the right foot up. I'm going to really press down into the left leg to lift, and then gently lower the right knee a bit and lift the left hip a bit. Right hip a bit. Up and down. Nice lower and lift. I'm trying to keep the knees as if they were together, so in the same alignment. I don't want to lift the knee forwards or backwards. And then very gently stepping onto both feet, releasing hands away from supports, just giving yourself a little wiggle of the hips in every direction. That's the one. That's the one. And so we come to our final variation without support, if possible. I would have support close by just in case. Let's come onto the left leg, right leg as our standing leg, and bring the left knee close to the right knee, but with the knees bent. And here we're going to have hands onto the hips so we can really feel what's going on. Here we don't want to tuck the tailbone out or open the chest. We want to have the tailbone tucked gently under and then gently lift and lower. That left hip, knee slides up, knee slides down. And it's not the knee bending towards the body that makes that happen. It's the hip going up and down. Let's do one more. And then step onto both feet. It's okay to take one of the previous variations or take support and do it without the balancing element. Roll the shoulders, roll the hips. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So the left leg is our standing leg. We're going to bend the right knee, find a point of focus, firm the belly, slightly tuck under, and very gently lift the right hip, lower the right hip. Or the opposite way around if you want to start with the low. Lift and lower. We'll do two more. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Step onto both feet. You'll be pleased to know that we are finished with all of the hip hiking. I imagine that that feels like quite a lot of work across the low back and also in the buttocks, in the belly, in the sides of the body. What we're trying to do here is switch off the quadratus lumborum, this muscle that happens on both sides of the body above the buttocks is very active when people sit a lot and they have lazy butt muscles, gluteus muscles. So we're going to further enhance the effect of our work by doing a little three-legged down dog. If you're not sure, watch before you do. So we're going to come to standing at the back of the seat and walk the body away so that we've got the knees, the feet quite close together, not super close, but quite close together, and the knees nice and bent. Now I'm just thinking, have I got room here? I'm going to move myself slightly further forward. Just need a bit of room behind you. So pressing down into the hands, drawing the shoulder blades towards each other, lifting in the belly muscles. We'll take the weight onto the right leg first and step the left foot back. And this might be enough to be here. But if you're able to, lift your left leg up, doesn't matter how high, and gently lower down. And we'll do that 4 more times. Lifting and lowering. Really let the toes reach away from the body as well. We don't want to lift higher than the hip. So lifting and lowering, we do one more nice squeeze on the buttocks. Lift, lower, and slide the left foot in. In the center, just give your hips a little sway from side to side, or a little wriggle in of the legs if that feels good. And then pressing into the hands, firming the belly, soften the left knee, lengthen the right leg back. Gentle lift and lower. Lift and lower. Doesn't matter how high it is, just feeling that buttock working. This one and one more. Lift and lower, slide your right foot in, take the feet nice and wide, keep the knees nice and soft, little sway of the hips from side to side. Move in any way that feels good. The more fluid your movement, the more releasing of tension. And when you're ready, you can look towards your seat, walk your feet in as you stand up to upright. Let the shoulders settle, let the breath settle. And hopefully that feels all the right kinds of good. So we, I said at the beginning of the class, we needed something to step up to. So I would quite like to do a standing spinal twist here. So the standing spinal twist can be done a variety of ways. If you've got access to a wall, you could use a wall, but I will demonstrate with a chair because I know everybody's got a chair. So with the support that you had for our earlier practice, we're going to step that in front of the chair, the support on the left-hand side, so close to the left leg of the chair, and we're going to stand on both feet, lift the right foot and place it down on that support on the left side of the body. So from the front, I look as if my legs are a little bit crossed, maybe not all of the way, but a little bit. If this feels like it's not right for you to do it with the legs crossed, you can move that support to the right side of the body and just have it with the right leg to the right with that support underneath the foot. And then we're standing really tall and we're going to reach the left hand to the right side of the chair and reach the right hand behind the body. We'll settle the shoulders down. If you want somewhere for that arm to go, it can reach across behind you to your left hip. But if you like, you can just leave it in hanging in midair. Pressing into that left foot to stand really tall with the belly muscles active, the shoulders nice and relaxed. Taking a deep breath in here. And a deep breath out. And then to unwind, inhale as you look towards the front with your head. Exhale as you unwind your arms and step your right foot to the right. And just spend a moment standing on both feet, standing tall, but softening the effort from the back of the body, giving yourself a little wiggle in any direction that feels good. If you did this twist with the block on the same side as your bent leg, do it the same way this time. But if you are able to do it with the block on the opposite side, then we'll come to standing, lifting this time the left foot and placing it down on the block either to the left or slightly to the right. Standing tall, press into the right foot, feel that space between the hips and the ribs. We're going to take the right hand to the left side of the chair, the left hand behind the body, and just drawing the shoulder blades towards each other. If you like, with that right hand, you can reach for the left hip, or you can just leave it hanging out or low, wherever is good for you. Take a moment to breathe in as you lengthen, breathe out as you twist, firm in the belly muscles, soft in the shoulders. And take another big deep breath in. And out. To unwind, inhale as you turn to look at the front with your head. Unwind the arms back to center, uncross the legs as you exhale. Rolling the shoulders, wiggling the hips as needed. Excellent work, guys. So I think we've done probably enough with this area of the body for now. We are going to bring ourselves back to sitting down and we're going to use our belts for a little bit of shoulder opening, and we'll wind our way down to relaxation as well. So gathering a block for underneath the legs, feet, sorry, if you normally use it. And we're going to begin by just giving the opportunity to the low body to relax. So we're not going to do anything with the low body, we're simply sitting. We want to sit well, but we're just sitting. And we'll roll the shoulders. And make these shoulder rolls really nice and slow, so they're smooth. Avoid anything that does popping or crunching or grinding, and reversing that motion. Remember, you can go slower or smaller if it makes you do popping or crunching or grinding. And then we're going to take our belts, which are handy on the back of the chair, and just pop them over the right shoulder. So the belt's hanging down behind you as well. And you could use a tea towel for this. It doesn't need to be a particularly long piece of length. So here, I need to think about which way we're doing. Please excuse me. We're going to start by taking the arms wide, and then we're going to take the left arm up and the right arm down. And then we're going to take the arms wide, Right arm down and left arm up. Very good. You're going to do this a couple of times in each direction, trying to keep the shoulders down, trying to keep that gentle engagement through the belly muscles, trying to avoid lowering the chin forwards. One more time in each direction. Very good. We're just getting used to moving the arms in that direction. And then float the arms to the side, roll your shoulders a little bit, maybe look up and down as well to release the back of the neck. Very good. Now we're going to take that right hand, no, this is the left hand, and slide it behind the body as high up between the shoulder blades as is possible without forcing, and hold onto the belt when you get there. So I'm demonstrating on my least open side because I need the belt on this side. So reaching for the belt when you get there. Don't pull on the belt because otherwise you'll pull it off your right shoulder, but with the left hand holding onto the belt. And then with the right arm, we're going to make big circles with that right arm. And we want to make those circles as big as feels comfortable to our body. And on the third circle, we're going to reach up. And as the elbow comes close to the body, bend at the elbow and also hold onto the belt. So behind the body, it looks like this, the hands moving towards each other. The right elbow stays up towards the head, and you can inch your fingertips towards each other on the belt if you feel that you've got a bit more room to move into, but without force. What we want to avoid is flaring the chest by lifting too much into the chest. So we want, instead of this motion, we want to be nice and neutral in the low back, in the back of the body. And just taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. To release out, we're going to release the belt with the hands, lift the right arm up and then take it down to the side, nice and slowly. And with the left hand, we're sliding it down the back and around the hip towards the front of the body and just resting the hands wherever they come to, giving yourself a moment to feel the difference between the right and left sides of the body. Maybe rolling the shoulders. Very nice. Swap your belt to the opposite side. This is called Gomukhasana, cow's face pose. And it's a really lovely practice to open the chest, encourage strength in the upper back. It also helps to place the shoulder head into the right position to keep the chest open, and it stretches the tricep at the same time. It's a good all-rounder. So we're going to take now our right hand and slide the right hand up the back to that space between the shoulder blades if possible, or holding onto your belt as you need. Reaching the left arm out to the left, we're going to take 3 big circles of the left arm. If big circles don't feel good to you today, smaller circles are fine too. The third time you circle the arm up, bring the upper arm close to the left side of the head, and then bend the elbow so that you bring the fingertips towards each other, which I can do on this side, or hold on to the belt as you choose. If your fingertips are touching, that's great. If they're not, don't worry about it. Hold the belt because the belt will be good. We're going to roll the shoulder blades towards each other, firm the belly so we're not flaring the chest, and just take a couple of deep breaths here. Try not to overcompensate with your head in any direction. Keep your head quite neutral. One more deep breath in and out. Then we're releasing the top hand. The left hand first reaches up and then out to the side and down. And the right hand slides down the back and around the side of the body to finish on your lap with both hands. Take a moment. Breathe deeply. What that does is it really opens up the space in the rib cage so that we breathe much more easily. One of its many, many benefits. And then we're going to lose our blocks just for a moment and take our weight, our focus back down to the legs again, hands onto the knees, and begin stirring the body in a circle. Just as we did at the beginning of the class, we want to really grip the mat with our feet, the floor with our feet, and allow our head to move as part of our spine. Maybe the chin coming a little bit forward as we're forward, the chin lifting a little bit as we go backwards, really firm in the belly muscles. And when you're ready, you can change direction and go the opposite way. One more in this direction, really pressing into the feet. And we're going to come to center and then do something that puts all of these movements together. So we're going to keep the knees nice and wide. We're going to sit tall, reaching the arms nice and wide, and then take the right forearm towards the right leg. Now, it might be too far to bend that all the way down, so the right hand can come to the right leg, right forearm if possible, and then firm in the belly, we're going to reach the left arm forward across the body, and then try to look a little to the left as that arm goes up. So we end up with a position where we're sideways on, the shoulder blades are moving towards each other. We're gently turning the chest as if we were looking up towards the ceiling, whilst reaching the left fingertips towards the right, keeping the head more neutral if it's more comfortable for your body, and finding length all the way down that left side of the body. Taking a deep breath in here and a deep breath out. We're going to come out by reaching the left fingertips to the right and folding slightly forward. In between the legs, we're going to hold onto both knees and just gently twist the chest from side to side. If you can do this whilst also lifting your belly muscles, that's great. And if you want to come a little bit lower, then that's fine too. Whatever feels good, but no more than parallel to the floor. And then we're gently going to press through the hands to come up to sitting and do the same thing to the other side. So we're reaching the arms nice and wide, taking the left hand, or if you can, forearm down to the left leg, reaching the right arm across the body, and then reaching to the right as you press into the left arm or forearm and open your chest. Reaching the right fingertips always to the left, finding that the shoulder blades are moving towards each other and down the back, really opening that space down the right side of the body. More neutral head if you prefer, lift in the belly muscles, deep breath in, and deep breath out. Then we're going to reach the right fingertips to the left as we fold gently forward, come back to the center, and this time we're going to bring the knees closer towards each other, feet forward, facing forward, and slide the hands all the way down the legs as far as feels good to you, relaxing the weight of the body across the thighs if possible, turning the backs of the hands or the fingertips to the floor, relaxing the back of the neck, taking a deep breath in and out, maybe sighing out, then pressing into the feet. Hands come to the top of the knees, just rounding through the spine, sitting up in a way that feels good to you. And as you come to an upright position, rolling the shoulders a couple of times. Backwards is generally best. So that might be a new posture to some of you. So we're going to do it one more time to each side. For those of you who feel like that's okay, I've had enough, then just prepare for relaxation. That's fine. Taking your feet into this open, turned out position, if possible. If not, it's fine. Keep the toes pointing more forward if it suits you to have a more neutral hip. This is horse stance or goddess pose, sometimes it's called. We're going to sit tall, reach the arms wide. Take the right hand down to the right thigh. It might be that last time you did it with the hand, this time you can do it with the forearm if you can. Reaching the left arm across the body, reaching the left fingertips to the right as you roll your chest open to look a little bit up towards the ceiling. So it's the chest we want to turn rather than the head. If the head turns as well, that's great, but it's just a nice to have. A more neutral neck is also good. Drawing the shoulder blades towards each other, keep reaching the left fingertips away, press the feet into the floor, firm the belly, take a deep breath in, and a deep breath out. And then we'll reach the left fingertips to the right, just gently looking forward and down. In the center, we'll come to have the hands on both knees and just gently twist the chest from one side to the other. And we can let the shoulders be a bit more rounded here if that feels good, or you can keep the shoulder blades down to keep the chest open a bit more if that feels good. Coming back to an upright position, reaching the arms nice and wide as you sit tall, taking the left hand or forearm down to the left leg, and then reaching the right arm across the body, reaching the right fingertips to the left, pressing into the left arm to just open the chest towards the ceiling or towards the front. Press into both feet, reaching those fingertips, turning the head if it feels good, keeping the head centered if it's better, firming the belly muscles. Shoulders down, deep breath in, deep breath out, and then reaching the right fingertips to the left, reaching the chest forward. And I think we'll stick with this less rounded variation. So fingertips, no toe tips pointing forward, roll the shoulders down to open your chest and give your chest a little shimmer from side to side. Lifting in the belly still. If you feel you need a fold, try a fold over your legs a little bit closer together. It feels differently. It's like a seated child's pose, chin towards chest, just draping the body forward, feeling the support of the thighs for the belly and the chest. A couple of deep breaths in and out. If it doesn't feel good to hold this position, then don't hold it. When you're ready, you can press into your feet to round back up, either by taking your hands to the thighs and coming up with a little bit of support, or just by rolling yourself all the way open. We'll finish by reaching the arms forward and up, and then drawing the elbows back and down. So we've realigned ourselves, ready for relaxation. And that was really quite a lot of movement through the spine. So don't be surprised if you've got a gurgly digestive system, or if your energy feels all lifted, or if you get a little tired in the back of the body later on today. Nice warm bath, keeping the body warm in general, will help to ease that. And remember, small movements to release any stiffness that you feel in the next few days. Let's gather ourselves for relaxation. I'm just going to have a touch of water and grab my blanket. And if you have a belt here, then you can use it to tie your thighs together. So you don't have to do this, but it's quite a nice thing to do, so that your legs can really relax during relaxation. So I've got a D-buckle on my belt, which means I can easily slide it around. If you don't, make sure that whatever tightness you're creating doesn't cut off your circulation. That's really important. So we want it to be stabilizing. So it's not, I haven't got this as close together as my thighs go. I've just got it a little bit. So if my legs relax out, they can't go any further. They are stabilized by the belt. I'm going to settle myself right back into my seat with my beautiful blanket for comfort and warmth. And when you're ready, you can bring your body to a nice, comfortable position and bring your body to stillness. Taking any last fidgets before you settle. With the back of the body resting towards the back of the seat, the thighs much more supported, the belt in place if you want to use it to just stop the thighs falling out to the side, means you can relax in the pelvis a bit more. And then we'll take our 3 deep breaths, breathing deeply in as you sigh out, let go of any effort. A deep breath in. And as you exhale, softening your muscles. A deep breath in, and surrendering back and down. Allow your breath to fall into its natural rhythm, falling into quietness. Take your awareness into your forehead, feel it soften. The space around the eyes relaxing. Your mouth, tongue, and jaw releasing. Allowing the whole of your body, but particularly the legs, the feet, the belly, the pelvis, the whole body feeling heavy, warm, supported, and letting go. Take your awareness to your breathing and feel the natural ebb and flow of your breath. Notice if your breathing is perhaps just a little easier, if it feels like you have a slightly more spacious breath than you did at the beginning of class. Today we're going to use a mantra with the breath. So as you breathe in, repeat in your head the sound so, and as you breathe out, ham. Breathing in so, breathing out, ham. Breathing in so, breathing out, hum. Continue this as you focus on your breath, the body softening a little deeper with every exhalation. Om. Gently begin to bring your awareness back to your hands and your feet. Maybe moving your fingers and your toes, maybe rolling your wrists and your ankles. Don't be worried about any clicking like I've got. When you feel ready, you can take a deep breath and stretch the body. It's good. Maybe stretching the right side and then the left side. Maybe stretching the face in a yawn. If you are tied together at the legs, you might like to undo that. Just gently step out of it so that you're free to move in the legs as well, giving the knees a little wiggle backwards and forwards. When you're ready, you can gather your hands together at the center of your chest, either resting palms over the chest or palms together. And today we used a mantra in relaxation, Soham, and it means I am that. I am that. And I often think of the song I Am What I Am when I'm using it, that sense of being confident within yourself about yourself. But it actually means I am part of the whole, I am eternal. So hopefully that sentiment brings a nice smile to your face, taking your chin towards your chest. Then when you're ready, you can raise your head and open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining in yoga this term. I hope that you have enjoyed and felt the benefit from it. And I hope you have a wonderful summer holiday. I'll see you again after the break. Namaste.